Chris is a white male that was born and raised in the southern part of the U.S., which has a history of racism and slavery. His mom is a housewife, his father is the so-called breadwinner of the family, and the rest of his siblings are boys. Additionally, he grew up in an all-boys private school and ended up going to a good college. On his first day in the workforce as a businessman, he finds out that his boss is an Asian woman and his coworkers are mostly comprised of females and people of color. When Chris goes home that day, he calls his parents to complain that he knows that he will have to pick up the slack since he believes that the minority is not capable of doing the work that is the same worth as his. Chris refuses to accept help from his coworkers and would rather trust his opinions over his boss. Chris says that it's not his fault for his white supremacy and misogynistic beliefs, since he was raised in an environment that didn't question his beliefs otherwise. He also says that it's not his responsibility to discern what the truth is, since no one else has questioned his beliefs. But is that really the case? In the everlasting quest for knowledge, we've learned that knowledge requires an epistemically justified true belief. Throughout this quarter, we've had different modules on how embodiment and rootedness affect our knowledge, the different theories of truth, how trust affects our belief, and how we can justify our beliefs. I've studied how our beliefs come into fruition, so today I will be discussing the question, is obtaining true beliefs a moral responsibility? First, I'll dissect the question in parts. 1. What are true beliefs? And 2. What is a moral responsibility? We've learned the 3 theories of truth, including correspondence theory, in which a proposition is true if and only if it corresponds to the facts, pragmatic theory, in which true beliefs are generally useful and false beliefs are not, and coherent theory, in which true beliefs are only true if they cohere with other propositions in a system. Next, we've learned different theories of justification, including foundationalism, in which the evidential chain must terminate in the justified basic beliefs through perception, memory, and logical truths, coherentism, in which beliefs must cohere and coincide with other non-basic beliefs, and virtue epistemology, in which a belief is apt if it is the product of the truth and it is coherent with the rest of the subject's body of beliefs. Lastly, we learned that beliefs are either dispositional or occurrent, depending on when we are entertaining it, and our belief ranges in intensity or strength from complete and firm conviction to tentative and cautious acceptance. The main point is that according to the traditional view as stated in the reading on the Introduction to the Theory of Knowledge, knowledge simply requires justified true belief. As long as one believes that P and the other conditions are met, then one knows that P, whatever the intensity of one's belief. But attaining true beliefs is not just an epistemic responsibility, it is also a moral responsibility. We cannot just believe in whatever we want, as there would be no merit if what we believe is not epistemically justified, since it would reflect that our thoughts and actions are based on falsehood. So because we are able to choose what we believe in, and are able to interpret the truth for ourselves, it is our moral responsibility to obtain true beliefs. According to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, moral responsibility is holding a person accountable of their moral beliefs and practices. It is a principal concern of ethics that deals with determining what is morally right from wrong. So my main argument is that obtaining true beliefs is an epistemic and moral responsibility because we have the ability to seek the truth and determine what the truth is for ourselves. Additionally, we also have the capability of living out true beliefs through our thoughts and actions. From the Philosophy of Man reading, we've learned that we are a conscious crosspoint of so many other crosspoints, from the people we know to the environment we were born in. We've learned that our body limits and allows what we can know, as we are only able to know what we can experience. Chris is not able to know what life would be like from the perspective of a minority or a woman, since he was born as a white male in a predominantly white society. So, can we really blame Chris for being a racist and sexist man? Let me introduce some discussion points. What if I was raised in an environment that held an unjustified belief as true? Like Chris, who could not choose his physical body, if the society around him holds the belief as true, then why is it still Chris's epistemic and moral responsibility to continue to seek the truth? Since I have free will, can't I just choose what I want to believe in? Can't Chris just keep on living his life as a racist and sexist man? What's the point of searching for the truth? Most importantly, is it only my moral responsibility to obtain true beliefs? Should the people around Chris do something about his beliefs that are not epistemically and morally justified? Now I will discuss how and why it is our moral responsibility to obtain the truth. First, knowing who or what to trust. We place our beliefs in what we trust, as trust plays a crucial role in the production of knowledge. According to the Social Factors of Belief lecture, this basic need for truth drives our practice, leading us to seek out good informants in order to multiply our epistemic resources. A good informant is a person who has both rational authority and credibility. Besides looking for people, we can search for the truth using other resources, as we are living in the age of the internet, where the entire database of humanity is at our fingertips. We have countless resources to base truths on. But the internet must not be our only source, since it may be subject to quote-unquote fake news. We may never know the whole truth, as we've seen in the In the Groove reading by Kutagawa, but we can still piece together a truth from what we are given. Additionally, we have to be cautious of bias and prejudice beliefs that we have. We've learned on how epistemic injustices affect society today and cause the truth to be hidden even further. In my example, Chris's beliefs were based solely on how he was raised. He was not able to learn the truth of equality and equity since his perspective was narrow to the predominantly white society around him. We have the freedom to choose what source we will place our trust in, so we also have the responsibility to fact-check what is being said from that source. We must continue to seek the truth even if we think we already have all the facts, since there's always more sides to a story than what we know. But why is it a moral responsibility to seek the truth? Can't I just believe in whatever I want as long as it doesn't hurt anyone? According to a crash course video on epistemic responsibility, William Clifford, an English ethics philosopher, argued that there is no such thing as a private belief, because we all talk about our beliefs and it causes our beliefs to spread. So, even if our beliefs aren't explicitly shown, they will still influence how we act and how we treat others, and it will also affect how others will perceive us. Essentially, our beliefs are never just our own. In this way, it is a moral responsibility to seek the truth because our beliefs have the potential to harm others, and it also has the potential to spread. When Chris has his own family, he will pass on his sexist and racist beliefs onto them, and his children will pass it on to the next generation, and so on. If we are complacent with our unjustified beliefs and refuse to seek the truth, these potentially harmful beliefs will continue to exist. Thus, it is not only an individual's moral responsibility to seek the truth, it is also that individual's responsibility to educate others on ignorant behavior. Whatever source we choose as a good informant has a particularly important role, as the truth that we get from them will affect us. Since our beliefs on what we perceive as the truth affect our thoughts and actions, we are then responsible for what we believe in. Lastly, why should I look for the truth? Why can't I just be content with what I know? Down the road, near the end of life, if a person were to find out that their beliefs are based on falsehood and an unjustified truth, that person will then have to live with knowing that their life was filled with lies. As Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. Living a good life is looking beyond what we know and examining the world as we see it for ourselves. Can we ever be content with the feeling that there are holes in our belief system? When we know ourselves, the world we live in, and strive to live and act out the truth, we are living the best version of our lives, and we know that we will be living out a truth-filled life. Now Chris has seen an error in his ways and wants to learn what he can do to make sure that he is believing the truth. How can he do that? The metaphor of an apple basket explains that if I have a basket of apples, how would I know that one of my apples have already rotted and are spreading to the other apples? A false belief is able to affect our other beliefs. So we should empty our basket of apples and carefully examine if they are justified in going back into our basket. Like René Descartes, a skeptic that questioned everything, he wanted to examine each possible belief carefully and only accept those which there could be no doubt. But there is simply too much beliefs to look at. So, like him, we can start on examining our foundational beliefs, the most basic beliefs that the rest of our beliefs are built on. We must choose who to trust wisely and ensure that our informants are those with rational authority and credibility. We must be a skeptic to our own beliefs and find the justified truth in believing them before we can put it back into our basket of apples. And if we do find something wrong in our system, we must be willing to accept change to fix it. It's never too late to start questioning our foundational beliefs, but we should take the time to deeply examine each of our beliefs, accepting what has truth and justification. The phrase blissful ignorance implies that there are just things that we are better off not knowing. So, let's take this last example. I take a calculus test on the first few chapters of the book, but I know I did bad since I had a hard time answering each question. When my teacher returns my results, I decide to just throw away my test paper and not look at my grade and the corrections on it, because I'd be happier not knowing my mistakes, or my grade. On my next calculus test, I find out that there were related concepts from the first test, so I did even worse on this one because I never fully understood what I did wrong the first time. Now, my teacher returns the most recent test and I have two options: throw away the test paper and just live in blissful ignorance, or accept the grade, grab a calculus book, understand each question, and learn how to solve it. If I never take the time to understand the basics, I will never get a full grasp on the subject. If we never take the time to question our own beliefs and the truths that we think we know, we will never be living a fulfilling life. Blissful ignorance isn't really blissful, as we are only harming ourselves from preventing ourselves from knowing and learning more. We have the ability and power to choose what we believe in, so obtaining true beliefs is a moral responsibility. Our beliefs shape our thoughts and our actions, which affect not just our individual lives, but all lives in our community. Because there are so many sources of information, it is up to us to decide for ourselves what we believe as true. But if in the long run we end up discovering that a belief is false, we must be open to changing our beliefs. If we want to live a life that is good, we must ensure that we are living a life that is open to the truth. In addition, it is not only our moral and epistemic responsibility to uphold true beliefs, it is also our responsibility to ensure that others are aware of these true beliefs. If we hold ourselves epistemically and morally responsible for seeking out the truth, we will know that we are living a life as close to the truth as possible. If we also encourage others to examine their own beliefs to eradicate false ones, we are just this much closer to living in a good place. Here's my list of references. Thank you for listening, and thank you for a good quarter.